Okay, so we're all swimming in this sea of artificial intelligence, right? But what happens when the code that's basically running our world goes wrong? In this explainer, we're going to trace that line from a simple piece of code all the way to its sometimes devastating real-world consequences.
First, let's just try to wrap our heads around the scale here, because the numbers are kind of nuts. Every single second, AI systems are making about 115 million decisions. Just think about that. That's billions of decisions a day, shaping everything from what you see online to medical diagnoses, almost all of it with zero human oversight. It's this invisible, autonomous engine just humming along in the background of our lives.
So what happens when those decisions go sideways? Well, the economic cost, it's just staggering. Estimates show that poor AI governance, we're talking system failures, biased outcomes, losing public trust, it costs the global economy over $400 billion every single year. And look, this isn't some far-off prediction. These are real, documented failures. I mean, can you imagine being the CFO who loses over $25 million because of a deep-faked video call? Or what about a medical AI that was so flawed it led to an estimated 12,000 preventable deaths? This shows you, when governance fails, the fallout isn't just about money, it's devastatingly human. So to get a handle on this, we first have to understand what we're actually trying to govern. You know, we throw around the term AI like it's one thing, but it's really a huge spectrum of capabilities. And each type brings its own unique set of challenges to the table. Most of the AI that you and I bump into every day, that's what we call artificial narrow intelligence, or ANI. These systems are geniuses, but only at one specific task. Their incredible power is also their biggest weakness. They have total tunnel vision. An ANI isn't evil. It's just really, really good at perfectly following instructions that might be flawed to begin with. Okay, moving up the ladder, we get to artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And this isn't science fiction anymore, folks. This is a fully funded roadmap. We're talking about systems that could think and reason just like a human, across any field. With over $100 billion a year being poured into AGI research, that window we have to build the right control frameworks, well, it's closing pretty fast. And then there's artificial superintelligence, ASI. This is where the rulebook just gets tossed out the window. An ASI isn't just a smarter AI. It could be a completely different kind of intelligence, something we can't fully comprehend. The challenge here goes way beyond managing risk. It becomes about ensuring humanity's survival. So how do we move past these vague feelings of, is this risky, and actually get specific? We need a tool, right? A practical, structured framework that helps us classify any AI and figure out exactly how much oversight it really needs. And that tool is the SCALE framework. It's a simple 5-step assessment to measure an AI's risk profile. You start with S for scope. What can it actually do? Then you look at C for control and A for autonomy. Who's in charge, and can it change its own mission? Then you assess its ability for learning, and finally, you figure out the potential effect if it all goes wrong. SCALE. Now let's see how this works in the real world. Think about your Gmail spam filter. Its scope is tiny, just email. The effect of failure, low. You might miss an email, so it needs minimal governance. Now let's jump to the other extreme, a high-frequency trading algorithm. Its autonomy is high. It can change its own strategies. It learns in real time. And the effect of failure? A potential market crash. The SCALE framework makes it crystal clear. This thing needs the absolute maximum level of control. Frameworks like SCALE are designed to stop disasters before they happen. But what happens when you just ignore them? We're about to walk through a real-world case where a system with a huge scope, high autonomy, and a devastating potential for harm was just let loose with almost no oversight. This isn't a hypothetical. This is the anatomy of a catastrophe. It all started with a goal that sounds great on paper: efficiency. Use an algorithm to detect welfare fraud. But the result? It wasn't efficiency. It was automated cruelty on a national scale. Just look at the horrifying speed of this collapse. A single automated flag on day 1 kicks off this unstoppable chain reaction. By day 2, benefits are cut. No human review, no appeal. Within a single month, families are facing eviction. This wasn't some slow-moving problem. It was an automated freefall with no off-ramp, no point where a person could step in and say, stop. And let's be crystal clear here. This was not a technical glitch. This was a complete and total governance failure. Over 26,000 families had their lives ruined. More than 1,000 kids were taken away from their parents. This is the staggering, incalculable human cost,
when we deploy these powerful systems without thinking through the consequences.
The failure was so profound, so absolute, that it led to the resignation of the entire Dutch government. The Prime Minister himself stood up and called it unforgivable. That's what happens when accountability fails at the very highest level.
Seeing a catastrophe like that, it naturally brings up a pretty urgent question, doesn't it? How do we stop this from ever happening again? The answer starts with having the right tools, a simple set of essential questions you have to ask before any system goes live.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all this. I get it. The complexity is huge. But the very first step you can take is actually pretty simple. It's all about asking a few really powerful questions that can bring any AI system back under human control.
You start with the trace method. It's just 5 questions, but they are incredibly powerful. Is it transparent? Can you actually explain its decisions? What's the risk? What's the absolute worst-case scenario? Who is accountable? Who takes the fall when it fails? Can you control it? Is there an off switch? And finally, does it align with our ethics? If you can't clearly answer all 5, that system is not ready. Period.
Look, what all of this really tells us is that the Wild West days of ungoverned AI are over. They're ending one way or another, either by our design or by disaster. Building a future with responsible AI isn't somebody else's job. It starts with us, with you asking these tough questions and demanding better answers.
So I'm going to leave you with one final thought, something to take back to your own teams, your own organization. If an AI in your world makes a decision that leads to disaster, who specifically will be held responsible? If you don't know the answer to that question, you have your first and most urgent task.